Good morning, gentlemen. And ladies, there are some ladies joining us today. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Equina Washington. I'm the Director of Community Relations for the City of York, and I'm also the President of YWCA York. So I'm so honored for your presence here today. So welcome to the My Brothers Keepers Community Challenge, hosted by Mayor C. Kim Bracey and Jamil Alexander. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the podium YWCA York CEO, Mrs. Jean Truthart.
Good morning, everybody. Am I too tall for this? We're so honored to have you here today. I was really excited when Edquina and the mayor asked if we would make this space available, which we're very happy to do always for the mayor and anything she wants to do, but particularly happy for this event today because it really connects so well with the YWCA and our mission, which is eliminating racism and empowering women. And we are entering our 125th year next year, so we've begun to do some research into the archives for the YWCA, and I can tell you going back to 1891, there was serious interest in not just being a women's organization, but also paying attention to what was going on with men and boys. And I personally believe you cannot empower women without also taking care of the men and boys in their lives. And that's not true at all YWCAs. That's a little bit different here in York. And so we have men who are associates and are here in our fitness center. We have boys who participate in our camp programs, which ended last week with our early learning centers. We have boys who are in our Temple Guard and our Quantum Opportunities program. We have, this is a big controversy, 2 men on our board. And that's very unusual. And before Edquina was the president of the board, we had John Kleindienst, who is a man, and he was president of the board at the YWCA. Never happened before, and will probably never happen again. But we were able to really blend seamlessly what's happening in our community with women and men. And having said that, I want you to know that I am also a very big proponent of single gender events, projects, and activities. We have a program called Girls on the Run, which is a leadership and character building program that we do throughout the county. 400 girls participated last year, middle school. We had a school district that said that they're not participating this year, that they're creating their own program that will be boys and girls together. And we talked to them a little bit about the objectives of Girls on the Run, because I can tell you that girls alone have very different conversations about leadership development, about body image, about healthy relationships than they would have if the boys were there with them. So I think there's a good balance between where do you want to put your attention and where can the most meaningful conversations happen. So I want to just share that history about the YWCA because the one in York is a little bit different. And I would be remiss if, given this opportunity, I didn't talk about one of our upcoming events, which is Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. You may know that the YWCA through Access York and the Victims Assistance Center is the county's largest provider of domestic violence and sexual assault programs and services in the county. So it's a large part of what we do here. And one of our events, which will take place on October 2nd, first Friday at LSC Designs, is Walk a Mile in Her Shoe, where we have men and teams of men and father and son and grandfather and grandson pairs who register to walk that evening in a pair of women's high heel shoes. We own 500 pairs in men's sizes. And though they're not all stilettos, although some are, we do have flats and flip-flops just so everyone can participate. Last year, we had almost 100 men who signed up to do this. The winning team raised $12,000 on their own to participate, and that money went to help domestic violence services. Not all YWCAs do the Walk a Mile in Her Shoes event, but I can tell you that the one that is in York draws around 400 people. It is supportive, it is fun. Sure, it's silly and a little embarrassing, but it is for such a good cause that if you've never participated, and I'm talking about it and in your mind you're going, I'm not putting on high heels and walking for a mile through York City. That's fine, but come out and support the event or be a donor or a volunteer, because we really want this to be a very inclusive event throughout our city. We want to have it grow every year. And the most important thing is every 20 minutes, there is an assault taking place. there is intimate partner violence taking place, and we have had 4 homicides in York County this year alone, domestic violence homicides. Not on our watch is the message we want to send to our community. And if you would like to be a part of that, please join us on October 2nd. We would really appreciate that. Have a great event today. We're very happy to have you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Jean. And with Walk with Mouth, all of you want to join my team. It's the Redeemed Queens Kings. You can find it on YWCA York's website. It gives me great pleasure and honor to welcome up our esteemed mayor, Mayor C. Kim Bracey.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's good to see all y'all. Thank you for being here. There's some chairs here. You guys know me. You can move in here and fill in the area. We're going to have you do that anyway. I know Jamil will, so we'll talk more about that a little later. But thank you for taking the time out of your schedules on this beautiful Saturday morning to be here today, joining in on this monumental occasion for the city of York. Each of you are not here by accident, but on purpose, to set the agenda, set the master plan to move us forward towards eliminating the gaps and barriers that all too often prevent our boys, our young men of color, and other young people in general from persevering. Today, we are officially accepting our Commander-in-Chief, President Barack Obama's My Brother's Keepers Community Challenge, stating openly that we are committed to working together collectively to aggressively deliver a positive change. Thank you to Jamil. Appreciate you, Jamil Alexander, community leader and a personal friend, for all the work that you've done and continue to do locally and internationally, I might add, to address and be a living example of the established principles of My Brother's Keepers Community Challenge. Thank you. We appreciate you seeing the importance in this issue for our community as well, and presenting the opportunity for us to work together as a community alongside several other cities and communities throughout the country to bring forward united change. So thank you very much, Jamil. Thank you to our sponsors and those organizations that have provided their services to make today a success. I have to do that, y'all. Thank you to Aspen Institute for providing us with Jamil and the necessary tools and resources to make today possible. Thank you to Jean, who had the lead of the YWCA of York, for providing us the opportunity to utilize this space for today's event. And I always put in a plug, and she hates it, but Queen of Washington is the first African-American woman chairwoman of this organization. They didn't write that too much, that history, but we are, and keeping tabs of it. She's in her second term, right? It was supposed to be just a one-year thing, one-year term, if you will, and she has accepted it to move forward. So thank you for your leadership as well in leading this organization. Thank you to Mr. Thaddeus Shaw of Newgrounds Roasting Company. Thank you so very much for your donation. I'm sure to help keep us motivated and alert during the day. Design Bots Media Firm LLC, thank you for providing us with your professional design services. And G's Joint, thank you for the food and the pork bacon. I'm sorry. I was glad it wasn't turkey. I'm sorry, I'm just a pork eater. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm positive the guys enjoyed it as well. Now to address why we are here, which I know some of you have been asking yourselves, but again, as I said, you've been selected and asked to be here and to bring people with you as well, too. Jamil and I were honored to send out the invitation. Today is the day that we say no more. No more, and y'all have heard this, but we got to take a stand. No more excuses, no more blaming, no more pointing the fingers in response to the needed areas of improvement in our community. And this is the lives and the futures of our young men and boys of color. And again, young people in general. No more, it's time out. In the words of former Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, you don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas. And that is what we're here to do today. In September of last year, almost 1 year to the date, President Obama issued a challenge to cities, towns, counties throughout the country to become an MBK community. which represents a call to action for members of our community, along with mayors and others to support and implement a coherent cradle to college and career strategy for improving the lives and the outcomes of our young people and ensuring that they reach their full potential, regardless of who they are, where they came from, what their zip code is, the circumstances into which they've been born. So therefore, today I'm proud to be amongst over 200 mayors that have decided to accept the MBK Community Challenge. I know, again, that the food is great, but now it's time to get down to work. So if you all need to move around, you already know where the restrooms are. These they don't use. Get an extra cup of coffee or water, roll up your sleeves, grab your pens and paper, and get ready to expand your thinking and creativity and embracing change for our young people in this community. The My Brother's Keepers Challenge stands on the pillars of supporting locally driven, place-based strategies, which derive from compounding effects of cross-sector partnerships, of investing in evidence-based strategies to achieve a shared goal. These place-based strategies developed have dramatically raised high school graduation rates, reduced violent crimes, improved the reentry outcomes, increased kindergarten readiness. We have young people, young kindergartens who are not ready to even be in kindergartens in this community. We need to do something about that. These strategies also help connect youth to employment in cities and states across the United States. So I'm looking to you, our men, our anchors, to vigorously work in developing an action-driven plan to uplift our young people, complementing all the work that you all already do. Collectively, we need the support of your shoulders to stand upon in elevating our young people beyond and towards a future that they deserve. Each of you and the efforts, again, that many of you have done to make our York a better place to work, live, and play, I am completely grateful to you. But just think about this, of the life-changing and mission-driven work that can be done if we all just work together collectively, put our differences aside for the betterment of our young people. Allow these statistics indicated in the My Brother's Keepers Task Force one-year progress report to the President motivate you today. Excuse me. If we close the gap in educational attainment between working age men of color and non-Hispanic white men of the same age, I'm talking about the ages of maybe 25 to 64, if we close the gap, the share of working age men of color who have a bachelor's degree or above would double. Men of color would earn as much as $170 billion more annually in this country. The average weekly earnings among U.S. workers overall would increase by 3.6%. So I know for a fact that with the wealth of knowledge and passion in this room alone, together we can add to these statistics as well as enhancing them for the future of our York. Our young people need you. I need you. It all begins with us and ends with you guys. So thank you all again for accepting our request to be here and to be part of this effort. I look forward to reaping of the benefits that our young people will experience in the future because of the work that began here on this day, created in this room on this day by you all, for the boys, young men of color, and young people in our community. I appreciate each and every one of you immensely. Thank you. Now it gives me great pleasure to welcome up Senior Fellow for the Aspen Institute for Community Solutions, President of Youth Build USA, National Alumni Council, and National Council of Young Leaders Representative, Mr. Jamil Alexander.
All right, so the wisdom is in the room. I'm gonna kind of get to this, but I want everyone, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, God. Mom, my angel looking over us. Dad, my father is here, so we'll talk. When you hear this, and My Brother's Keeper, what's going on? This is a conversation. Like I said, the wisdom is in the room, so I'm gonna just facilitate a conversation. Ask some questions. I might call your name out because I know you might speak to a particular issue. It is what it is. Thank you for being here. I love you. All right, so when you think of Am I My Brother's Keeper, what comes to mind? Anybody? New Jack City. Ooh, I love it. Who else?
Supporting each other.
Supporting each other. I love you. Who else? Accountability. I would thank you.
Team success.
Team success. I'm looking more so on the religious Christianity side too. Anybody? My brother's keeper.
Shepherding.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else? One more. Come on, pastors. Help me out. Come on, Jeff.
It's more of a visual, it's a portrait, and it's a saying where he's carrying one brother and he said, that's my brother, he's not heavy.
But Cain and Abel, what?
One heartbeat. So when you think of my brother's keeper, all of this is right. But the first thing we have as far as my brother, it was the smallest thing going wrong. I'm a God-fearing man, we're going to get to this, but I want to kind of bring this to the context. You know, Lord said to Cain, where's your brother? They was playing in the field, long story short, he wanted to kill him. Playing too much. Why you play too much? They brothers. God asked him, where your brother? Am I my brother's keeper? And he had to let him know, like, yes, we are. Yes, we are. When it's all said and done, so this right here is always kind of gave it context, but then moving forward, what happened was, I want y'all to understand, like, it came hit to me, New Jack City.
Yeah.
In New Jack City, who my man, Nino Brown, right? What happened? You say New Jack City, brother Mike. What happened? You remember what happened? You remember that movie? I can get it word by word, but come on, bro.
G-Money did him dirty.
G-Money did him dirty. Had to shoot him. Killed his own brother. And what happened was, with the killings that was going on around the country back in 2013, I was blessed to be in a position to kind of start organizing statewide. Mind you, 12 years direct service at Christmas Attic, it was a wonderful experience. I wouldn't take it back. Got laid off, but at the same time, I had to reevaluate myself as far as what was I going to do to sustain my family, my wife, and my 2 kids. So what happened was, I said, okay, we go Pennsylvania. I had to leverage in Youthville, USA, start calling Philadelphia, call Chester, and what happened was, we wound up creating workshops. I'm just giving y'all some context. We started wanting to create a workshop. We went to Philadelphia. York came with me, Geek, some of the students. You'll see Chris Butler, Missy Burns. Y'all see him, my young boy Tyson lived down the street from me. You know, baby girl, wife was always with me. My son had school. He was in the Vo-Tech 2013, so what, he was in 11th grade at that particular time. But I peeped this though. We started it off with the Sisters Keeper, because you know what? When there was a time when my mom and dad had divorced and I was raised by my mom, so when it was all said and done, a single mother, it works. We need everybody. So I always thought that as far as context. Me and my father, we got a relationship. He's always been in my life. At one time, my stepdad came in my life. They wouldn't even let my dad in the door to come see me. My dad would come to the school just to say hi. So I always respected the female woman. Like, you see what I'm saying? You already know. So long story short, we had some things as far as like different entertainment. I'm just trying to give you all some context. We had workshops. People got signed up for some jobs. This is all in Philly City, Brotherly Love. We used the My Brother's Keeper tag. Mind you, y'all said that date, that was October 2013. That's on the Facebook Youthville alumni page, right? So we excited. Long story short, Youthville being a national organization, 273 programs long, the buzz got out. The buzz got out, long story short, people argue, but I don't argue either way. 2014. Can somebody read that? Anybody? Please, yes, please, everybody, out loud, somebody.
That's what My Brother's Keeper is all about. Helping more of our young people stay on track, providing the support they need to think more broadly about their future, building on what works, when it works in those critical life-changing moments. President Michael Biden.
One heartbeat. Thank you, Brother Williams. So long story short, here it is. The thing that we were doing, it became more intentional. The president started this initiative February 27, 2014. So, you know, we were excited. You know, I was blessed to be the president with Youthville. And so from February 2017 till about September, the city's initiative, me traveling in DC, I started hearing different things. The city initiative was coming up in September. You know, this is 2014, so I started asking different brothers, asking the mayor, like, and the timing wasn't right. It was a lot going on. The timing wasn't right. The mayor said, Jamil, you might be doing a lot of work. You and Edquina, is the brothers ready? Ask the brothers. I'm just being transparent. I went to the brothers, Mill, we're going to make this thing happen. Mayor was already down. We're going to make it happen, but the timing wasn't right. 2014 was a crazy year. I don't know if y'all remember. We was almost averaging 8 days of shooting a week. It's 2014, I remember, because I was trying to make sure I go talk to my brothers like, yo, can we do this together? We just need to come together. Because everybody in here is doing something, and I respect each one of you. But the timing wasn't right for us to come together. The timing wasn't right. The timing wasn't right. And it's crazy, so long story short, in 2014, we wound up having a block party. I couldn't really bring everybody together, but I can control my block. Not necessarily control, we had a block party. Everybody cooked, whatever, it was phenomenal. I mean, it's on Facebook, it was a wonderful thing. So I said, you know what, until the community is ready as a whole, let's do the block party. That was the first P-Way day. We had Southside and P-Way on the same day. Y'all don't even know it, Wayne Scott. He was out P-Way, we was out South. So the people that were in the South chilling, oh, y'all go to P-Way day? Yeah, go ahead, this is a city. Because the Unity Days had stopped, right? We wasn't having Unity Days no more, we didn't have the funding. Well, from block to block. So I'm just giving y'all some context of where we at, y'all. I love you, man. But I feel like, oh, thank you guys. Stay home, stay focused. So here it was, the city challenge. I don't even have to read it because what happened was the mayor gave it to us. The mayor gave it to us. That was the challenge. Back in the day, 400 mayors, 243 states. We weren't able to get that core group. We wasn't ready to get that core group. But peep this, y'all. As I continue to serve nationally, what happened was some of the mayors that are leaving, the city challenge is actually crumbling. So we're at a good time right now because we're starting, and then even our mayor here, the intentionality of making sure we're successful if she steps down in 2016, when she steps down. Because this is lifelong work. This is lifelong work, and when it's all said and done, everyone is already doing it. It's just making sure we just know what's going on so we can support each other. Am I my brother's keeper? So long story short, we're going to talk about this later. I'm just giving y'all some context. This is the challenge itself. These are the 6 goals. We're going to break them off in the subcommittee as far as the 6 tables. We're going to get there. I'm just kind of letting just playing a little seed so we can kind of go forward, right? And then I got to show y'all this. Come on, bro. Hold me down. Okay. So just in case you don't know what's going on, that's Air Force One coming in with the president, right? You got Damon from Shark Tank coming in. What happened was, during this initiative, the president realized, like, how are we going to sustain this when I leave in 2016? So what he did was, very smart man, created an alliance to follow 501(c)(3). And what happened was, through those best practices as far as that report the mayor talked about, you can always go online. Please cross-reference everything I say. Always dig deeper. I'm just planting the seed, give you all the information. It's up to us to kind of follow through, right? So long story short, the president, he reached out to philanthropists, different people that had money, like you saw the brother right there from Damon Shark Tank. As far as like, how can we sustain this, put it back on the brothers? Put it back on the brother, how can we sustain this? And what happened was, it became more, because when he created this alliance, what happened? You had the ladies like, yo, what about us? Even though the first lady, Miss Obama, already had a women's program, YWCA, the women been holding it down for years. What she say, 125? Holding it down for years, it's cool, let them do their thing. Well, how can we support another? So, the president being as smart as he is, I want y'all to look at this picture, because when he created this alliance, this is me back in New York, you know what I mean? I want y'all to see something. These are the people we kind of helped coordinate. This is Deloitte, a Caucasian persuasion sister. We had a Filipino brother, and we were part of organizing the young people that were there. Think of alliance, because you know the brothers that are in the room were those brothers, those band of brothers that would support each other, right? So boom. My boss, Astor Institute. You got the BET, Ms. Deborah Lee. These are people that's funding this. And guess where we at? Somebody tell me where we at. Anybody see it? We're in a Harmony Cafe. Everything speaks. Everybody. We're with the president. Mayor Nutter from Philadelphia, everybody trying to figure out how we can sustain this moving forward. The first year, okay, we have these best practices in hand, but how can we move forward together even though it is 2015? Then I had brothers from Youthville. You already know wherever I go there's a Youthville, so I stay connected. I might not do direct service like I used to at CA for the past 12 years, but I go to other Youthvilles and AmeriCorps and still serve. So the brothers from New York came through. Phil, actually one of the philanthropists out of Oakland, Policy Lane, and it was nothing but love. Because at first, this first year, there wasn't any funding. It was more so people just kind of taking the challenge and making sure we work together. So I already knew York could do it. I already knew it. I said, we can do it without the money. We know how to do it. I worked at CA. We squeezed the quarter until an eagle screamed. I know how to make it work. So let's move forward. We move forward. All right, then we got the My Brothers Keeper Alliance as far as what it is, supporters. If you're in this alliance, you know, every youth, including boys and young men of color, should have the opportunity to succeed regardless of who they are, where they come from, or the circumstances into which they are born. My Brothers Keeper Alliance is committed to working collectively, collaboratively, to address many challenges facing boys and young men of color, and we welcome your commitment to helping us make this real and sustain progress. Get involved today, and during break time, we're gonna make sure we sign up here and there. Because one thing I do believe in, and I got this on the streets, if you can go straight to the source, go to the source. I don't need to be your connect. If you want to go straight to the source, that's there. If you need me, I'm here, but it's all said and done. I encourage everybody to sign up. So let's keep it moving. And here we are now. So now, there's a documentary that went out. It's about 30 minutes long. It's about 30 minutes long. We want to kind of show it. And then us watching this, we're actually going to create our action plan. Action plan in a way where the wisdom is in the room, the expertise is in the room, and when it's all said and done, how can we support each other and be mentors to these young people as far as that crib to cradle to career. Keeping that holistic approach in mind. We're going to break off into 6 after the move. We're going to take you through Mondays. We're going to break off into 6 and each table, and it is what it is. So right here, y'all want to take a break, or y'all ready to dive into this 30 minutes? Let's get it. Oh, I love it. Thank y'all for being on time, too. Everybody was here on time. I love y'all. Look, it's 11 o'clock. Oh, we're going to be done early. This is perfect. Thank you. We're actually going to create these action plans. So we want to count off into 6s. Okay, so look, so the goal is, there may be a particular thing that you're interested in. So what's going to happen in these groups is everyone's going to kind of work on the plan, and then each group will present what they have, and then a bigger group will have a. So let's take the answer. Ma, Jamil, Ma. Okay, but Dad, I don't want to do this particular group, but at the same time, I want to get my input. Oh, okay. You give your input here, and when Dad presents to the group, it's up to us to kind of get that extra input. Everybody have input. Right now, we just need the subcommittees to really focus on the questions, and then when we come back together in a half an hour, we'll make it work. So thank God for the time. It's 12 o'clock. We got about until 12:30. So we identify the reporter, the writer, and understand the information in it. Let's move forward together. Together, Moon Show. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
First of all, the gentlemen at our table were fantastic. They came up with some great stuff. We really had a chance to really get involved, and you know, we made some more connections. And I think that's some of the things that we need to do. So our goal was ensuring children are safe from violence and providing second chances. What are the issues and gaps in our community to young men and children of color relative to this goal listed above? So some of the things we discussed were broken homes. We talked about being a part of the school district. We talked about our schools and some of the systems that we have in place. Churches. Sometimes the male figure is not in the home. Community.
Sometimes they want to do the right thing, but it's the draw of the community. Trust.
Can you come outside? They can't see you.
Oh, you can't see it? Okay. Trust. Having a trusting issue. A lot of our people, it's hard to trust. And then feeling safe. Sometimes, why do you carry or why do you act this way? Because I need to feel safe. I don't want to carry a gun, but if I need to, I have to make sure I'm safe. And then relationships. How do you build positive relationships? So we thought about those as the gaps. Those are our gaps. Then what are we going to commit to going collectively to improve in this area in our community? We're talking about, I can tell you at the high, we're looking at restorative justice. Okay, because some of the students, they can come in there, they're mad at what happened at home, you don't know what happened at night, then they come into school and then something happens and it gets set off. So how they interact with that teacher or that adult, they get a write-up. So they get that write-up and then they come to my office. So then we gotta follow our policy because that's what the board does. Told them you have to do. So this child who might have cursed out this teacher, even though they were mad at something else that happened at home, they're coming from me. So I have to say, you know what, the record profanity, that's 3 days out on the street. So now this child who left the incident at home that made him mad in the first place is gonna have 3 days more because he disrupted the learning environment of the school, which is like, we wrestle with that all the time. So now what we're really looking at doing is having a restorative justice program. Okay, I have to debrief with you, I have to break you down, I have to go back, what happened, why did it happen, who did what to you, take them through this process. And then through that, say, you know what, yeah, you owe me some time. Whether you got to help sweep the floors, whether you got to help touch up some paint, or whether you got to talk to our behavior specialist to get some other things, you're going to give us some time. So that's what we need. That's what we're trying to do on restorative justice. But then we need to pull in resources. If I'm knowing that the SAL has a program on Mondays where they work with young men on character education, I need to use that. So we have to utilize the different resources we have in the community. Then even looking back to opening up some of the centers. You heard about the Princess Street Center. You heard about what was happening at the Lighthouse. Really pushing our kids toward that. And then looking at approaching more of the boards. Big brothers and big sisters are here. The CA has a board. We need to bring those resources in to really look at collectively helping our community. And then what resources do we need to properly execute the area of concern efficiently and effectively? Just the three biggies: space, time, and communication. Because if I don't know Mike has a program that's helping kids, how can I funnel people there? So that communication's got to be there. Then it's going to take the ultimate time from us to give up our time to give that back to somebody. So that was group 6. These guys did a fantastic job. Keep it up.
And listen, is in the room, one heartbeat. Before we move forward, open discussion, I always love to give love. So can we get to appreciation? I'm gonna start off with the appreciation because I love the fact that you all, you were talking about that time and that space is everything, and even with the shared resources, and even in the beginning, as far as Brother Willie, when he was coming back dropping off his daughter, we were just outside talking for a second. Like, they have to feel safe if anything, and that was one of the things that you showed, and I hope you share with your group. But can I get 2 appreciation as far as 6, as far as what one thing that we can appreciate that they did moving forward, right? Anybody?
I appreciate the fact that I can read their handwriting.
Well, heartbeat. Let me get one more.
I love Rich. I gotta get it.
Yes, sir.
The restorative justice thing, I think that's important because a lot of our kids, they suffer from traumatic stress. We don't pay attention to that. They go through things at home, so we punish them at school. It's send them right back to that traumatic environment. I think offering something different instead of just giving up, and they look at it like you gave up on me. Like I cried out for your attention, you gave up, you sent me back there. So offering something different like that definitely is very important.
One heartbeat. Conquest. We moving on. That was 2. Then we get the next group. Brother Mike, you had something to say? Go ahead, give it to him. Give it to him.
I just gotta give props to that only because what I see, and I hope it alludes to that and maybe left it out, but I'd rather see more in-house suspension like we used to have rather than home suspension. Yeah. Because I remember when you had to stay in school, you had to sit in that cubicle and look forward. You got all your work done. if a student gets suspended for 10 days, they gonna flunk the marking period. Then they send it at home, they're not getting it. So I don't like the out of school suspension if it's not necessary. So I like that approach to thinking differently.
One heartbeat. We got another, doctor?
Yeah. One of the things that we're trying to do now to deal with the safety issue with our kids, because we recognize what's going on, is we made a commitment to have an after-school program. And I don't know how many of you guys know about it, and maybe you can help get the word out. But this is the second year for it now, and we're doing it in cooperation with Martin Library. Every K school has an after-school program from 4 to 6:30. We provide tutoring for any kid who wants to stay. We provide recreational activities, and we provide a hot dinner for that child every day, Monday through Friday. So we keep them off the street from 4 to 6:30. So last year we had around 800, 900 kids participating. We'd like to double that this year.
Free, Doc?
Free.
Woo! One heartbeat. Thank you, Dr. Holmes, leading the way. All right, we need another group. I appreciate the discussion and I appreciate somebody else. Yes, Clovis, I love you. Come on, what do you do?
Rich, what you think about that hair right here? I don't know.
For group one, and the statement that we had with the purpose of our group was ensuring all children enter school cognitively, physically, socially, and emotionally ready. And just before I go to our question that we had to answer, Dr. Holmes did a presentation to the entire school staff the first day in service, and one of the things that he brought up in the presentation was the word difference when we talk about school readiness for children. And was it up to third grade?
Third grade.
Up to third grade is a 30 million word gap between children that are in poverty and wealthy children. And then he gave some other statistics that children in poverty are exposed to 600 words, children in the middle class 1,200, and wealthy children 3,000 words. Is that daily? A day. So that's just a difference when you think about socioeconomic status and what children are exposed to on a day-to-day basis, and then and what we get in the classrooms once these children do enter schools. So the first question that we addressed was, what are the issues or gaps in our community to young men or children of color relative to our goal listed above, which was ensuring that all children enter school cognitively, physically, socially, and emotionally ready. And one of the things that that showed in the documentary was that children need to be, in order for them to learn, they have to feel like they're physically, socially, and emotionally safe, or you're gonna have a hard time reaching them. But anyway, the answer to the first question that we came up with as a group, and you can see we don't have a lot written down, but we had a lot of dialogue, and Jamil had to come give us a prompt for us to get some stuff down on the paper. So the first thing that we had for what are the issues in our community related to young men or children of color related to our goal listed above is lack of male role models. Yes, we have a group of probably about 50 males in this room, and we have a population of 45,000 people in New York City. And, I see most of these men time and time again throughout the community active and engaged. And we need more of that from our community. One of the things I spoke to in our group is that in order for a boy to be a man, you have exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, a boy can only learn to be a man from seeing a man. So we definitely need more community involvement and parents valuing education. We have a huge push of kids having babies from age, let's just say from 16 to 24. And, if those kids don't value education and understand that education itself can unlock doors and open windows for you, to be able to accomplish whatever it is that you want in your life. How are we going to be able to teach that to their own children? They may come into schools and we may have them for 7 hours a day, but they're going back to that environment that they come from where that parent is just trying to survive. On a day-to-day basis, that child is trying to survive. So on some level, for a lot of them, they don't recognize that them coming to school every day is putting them in a position to be able to accomplish whatever goal they may have for themselves. So, if parents don't value that education, how is that, message or how is that lesson being taught to kids? The second question we had was, what are we going to commit to doing collectively to improve in this area in our community? Well, we had a perfect person in our group for this question. Dr. Holmes, who spoke to an initiative in which he wants to start a pre-K program, which is curriculum-based, which will service every single 4-year-old in the New York City School District. So, they can come in and be prepared, and ready to learn by the time they reach kindergarten, first grade. And one of the things he also spoke to was that by 3rd grade, students in our district traditionally, because of that word exposure, are coming into 3rd grade and they're just now trying to learn to read. And it should be where they're at the point where now they've learned how to read and they're reading to learn. And there's a difference when you get to 3rd grade and you have students who are trying to learn to read rather than reading to learn. So that's something that we definitely would like to address. Mentorship programs where you have adopted pre-K programs, and when we talk about mentorship programs, we're talking about us, like the 100 Men Reading Program that happens once a year in the city. People like us going out and going into those pre-K programs every once in a while and just volunteering our time, reading to some of those kids. We all know kids, once again, a boy needs to see a man in order to understand what it's like to be a man, or how to be a man. So if you see a male role model or a professional, a Mike Dowd, DeMar Lopez coming in and reading in front of the students, you understand that reading is not something that is boring or laborious. It's something that you should want to do and be encouraged to do. 100 Men Reading programs increase the frequency, parent mentor programs, because that's huge. Especially at that age, when you try to get kids ready for school. A lot of these times, the parents don't have the resources. The parents are struggling to survive on a day-to-day basis. So, like I said before, they're not valuing education and recognizing the importance of it. And once again, we already spoke to the goal that Dr. Holmes has. The last question we had was, what resources do we need to properly execute this area of concern effectively and efficiently? And that is space, a place like this for us to be able to come collaborate, share ideas, and be able to move on and execute these programs here. Volunteers, especially male volunteers. Support from city officials, like we have here at Bracy, and funding. You want to be able to sponsor or have community events where you can have people come out, and there's nothing like having a barbecue or some food, and when you say free food, people are going to show up, so you can be able to try to implement your programs, whatever it is you want to do.
On heartbeat, can we get 2 appreciation from group number 1? Two appreciation. Yes, sir, Brother Jeff.
I appreciate the fact that you acknowledge the involvement of the parent in that child's education. I think that's very important. I don't know if it's done strongly enough in the school district. I know we constantly have communication with the parents where I'm at, and I just encourage you all to do the same.
Well, heartbeat. Another appreciation inside of the room, kind of quiet, but go ahead, Brother King.
I appreciate the fact that they touched base on the pre-K, and because before school is actually daycare and pre-K, and I think that the pre-K and the daycare should have more of a curriculum, because my family was in an experience where that my nephews, they lived here and they went to daycare here, and about 2 or 3 years old, they moved to a different state. And my nephews, like 3 years old, they know the whole alphabet and sign language. And just a more structured curriculum, they know a lot more than their average first grader.
One heartbeat. I love the fact that you brought up that 100 men. Shout out to the men, because that's been going on for about 5-6 years. Jonathan Queen started, and when he moved to Maryland, Brother Marquez Mitchell, who had to work today, took the reins, did a phenomenal job. So, one heartbeat. Can we get another group, please? Thank you so much. Thank you. Ron, this is wonderful.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm representing group number 2, and our goal was ensuring that all children read at grade level by 3rd grade. Let me set the stage for you with the facts that we had to work with and coming up with possible solutions to this goal. It's a fact that the end of the 3rd grade is the point at which children transition from learning to read to reading to learn. In 2013, 83% of black students, 81% of Hispanic students, and 78% of American Indian and Alaska Native students scored below proficiency in reading. And we all know that students not proficient in reading will struggle through their school years as they matriculate to middle school and to high school. And as a result, the dropout risk is even greater for these students, and they're likely to struggle not just through their school years, but through their lives trying to get ahead. With that in mind, we do recognize that the primary responsibility of educating our children in pre-K to 3rd grade is with our educators in the school district. But our question is, what can we do to assist them to promote reading in our community? That sort of answers your first question. Our first question was, what are the issues, gaps in our community to young men, children of color, relative to our goal listed above, which is to ensure that all children read at grade level by the 3rd grade? Jose Santiago was a writer, and because I can't read pink too well, he's going to answer our first question. What are the issues in our community for children of color relative to ensuring that they read by grade level in 3rd grade?
Okay, we started with volunteer to read at the schools with children and be a part of a 100 book challenge, which I heard brought up earlier, and that is brought up again. It's something very important. I think it needs to happen year round, not just once a year. The next one was promote book giveaways in the city. I know there's a sorority group, I can't remember the name of the sorority group right now, that's promoting. Deltas. They're promoting right now. Everybody in this room should be signing up to promote to get 40,000 free books in the city for our kids. I mean, that should be happening. But there we go. He's got a copy. We can make more copies. Everybody should get one. The next thing is target parents to promote the importance of reading to their children. I mean, if parents read to their children, it'll encourage children to read more. Showing the kids that it's very important to read will make them love to read. I mean, the hardest thing to do is get children to read because they don't know how. They don't. Some of them don't have resources or the books, the age-appropriate books to read, and that's important.
I think what stands out in this question is that there is a very strong role for volunteers in this effort, especially by my brother's keepers. We all know a lot of people who would be excellent volunteers in reading programs, whether it's in schools or after-school programs. And it's time perhaps to tap into the resources that are sort of the silent ones out there, who read throughout their lives and taught their children how to read, and who've seen their children have successful lives. And to share that love as we go on and be part of this effort, to help others in the community who need help. Our second question, what are we going to commit to doing? What are we going to do to commit to doing collectively to improve in this area in our community? So, and I guess I sort of touched on that, but we have some specific ideas we came up with. Imagine if I had to read it.
The first one we touched on in the first one, getting children to like reading. I mean, that's important. You got to get children to like reading. And to get children to like reading, you need age-appropriate books, you need parents to read to them, people to come into schools and read to them.
Don't worry about it.
We're being proud.
I'm sorry, 2 o'clock, so
materials I just went over in the home and at the schools, which we know they have. And parents to promote reading in the home and volunteers to support the schools in reading.
Which we think is critical, getting parents involved to promote reading in the home. You know, unfortunately, what we realize, or some people may realize that many of the parents aren't good readers, but that's still no reason for them not to promote reading in the home. And with time of the our third question, what resources do we need to properly execute in this area of concern effectively and efficiently?
And we need volunteers to read, obviously. We got all you gentlemen in here, we need to promote that to other associations in the community to go to the school, sign up to read kids in all the schools. The next one, we need money to support public library systems and book giveaways, programs, hard copies and ebooks. And also access to computers, tablets to bridge the digital divide and promote literacy.
Right.
And what's their last one, staff?
Yeah.
Staff can coordinate volunteer effort, because it's one thing to have more than a half dozen schools, and another thing to try to coordinate 100 volunteers going to those schools at various times of the day and various times of the year.
I know we've had some teachers in the district that have done some great coordinating for readers in the district, and I'm sure they were more than happy to keep doing it.
One heartbeat. Two appreciations for group number. Okay,
I appreciate you mentioning the organization that develops local alumni chapters having a book challenge drive to get 40,000 brand new books. As Brother Jamil said, you don't need others to tell you. There's a link, www.firstbook.org/YorkPA is when they're going to have this drive. And they're going to have a teacher advocacy town hall meeting on October the 15th, a Thursday evening, that they're going to talk about teacher advocacy, but also tying into this book drive, trying to get books into our community. We're going to bring a big tractor trailer of books. The goal is to bring this big tractor trailer of books to York and give them to those who sign up. So you need people to sign up at www.firstbook.org/YorkPA, and I have a couple of sign-up sheets that you can go to if you want to, and they go online, and information about this reading program that's important.
All right, lady, I need you to do something for me real quick. Would you mind putting that on October 15th and get that information? Just put the website and the date. All right, two appreciations real quick. Yes, sir.
I want to continue to appreciate what you said about reading. One of our district initiatives for the entire district is literacy. Literacy, and literacy. That we're putting at every time that a child has any time to read a book, we want them to read, and we want to continue to push that. So the school district focus is literacy. So many times if they can see you reading, then that's what they'll do.
One heartbeat. One more appreciation. Thank you, Mike.
All right, I appreciate the fact that you talked about even though some parents may have problems reading, there's no reason for them not to promote reading. But we need to maybe set up programs to help parents and adults that are involved.
One heartbeat. Woo. Thank you for bringing that up, because we need it nowadays. The holistic approach, family, two-generation approach. When it's all said and done, some of our young people, and this is just me working at the CA. I just remember hands in. We had to invite the parents too. We had to invite the parents because they was going back to. It is what it is. It's nothing but love. Thank you, Mike. Let's give group 2 some love, y'all. So we had 1, 2, and 6 went, so we still need 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5? 3, 4, 5? Come on, Doc. Come on. One heartbeat. Y'all ain't saying do that. That's a fair.
Again, thank you all. It was a great pleasure working with our group. Great ideas. Our question dealt with ensuring that all youth graduate from high school. We've seen in the film Rise Up that they had 100% of students not only graduating but going on to college. It's a remarkable thing. I had an opportunity to go out there in Chicago and visit that school. So I seen it for myself, and that it's infectious, the whole environment. So a couple of the challenges that and gaps that we face here in New York was mentioned was peer pressure, not finishing school, hanging out with the wrong folks, home life, teachers not caring, or teachers not having a vested interest in our students, because oftentimes folks are there for the check and not for the students. There's a lot of red tape. A lot of times individuals or organizations want to help out, but there's a lot of red tape of getting into the schools. So we also have a lack of life skills. It was mentioned in our group that students aren't, they get the rigor of the curriculum, but they need to learn how to live, how to survive, not just everyone's going to go to college. So we have to figure out ways to bring in entrepreneurs and other businesses and show our kids there's other paths that they can have success. So then we asked, what are we going to commit ourselves collectively in our community? And we have to, one solution is sustaining the effort, because oftentimes we hear, oh, it's a great big program, but then it sort of fizzles out. So we have to sustain that. We have to use outside business owners to talk to you. Commit, or it was mentioned in other groups, the time for the youth to have to interact with others, business persons, mentors, community leaders, and so on and so forth. Another thing we said, we tried to bring more colleges into the school. And I recall when I was in school, they used to get on the loudspeaker and say, hey, such and such college is here. You go and see it. So we need to do more of that. And also taking kids and exposing them to other opportunities, not just colleges, but to local businesses. And then we need people to commit their time and people to make the commitment to do this thing. Put it on the calendar. Every third Thursday of the month, this is when it's going to go down. So we have to have that committed time and space and time. And then the resources, what's needed, again, is sort of is sounding similar to the other ones that I mentioned. Time is needed for individuals. We talked about having some alumni coming back, willing to share their experiences and stories to others, providing students the exposure to local colleges, businesses, and we have to also look at the graduation rate, the graduation requirements that constantly, it seems like constantly change. Because sometimes they need this many credits, if they transfer schools, it gets hectic. So we have to look at those types of things and what can we do as a community to make sure we keep our kids on task. And also with this high stakes testing environment that we're in, we have to get some preparation not only in school but also maybe at our churches and centers that we used to have in the past.
On Heartbeat. Let's give him some love.
And we stayed under our time limit.
Yes, you did.
Hey, I'm not taking no shots. I'm just saying.
Wait, let's get some love. Can I give appreciation to anybody? I want to appreciate the fact that you highlighted alumni. Because a lot of people, sheep get sheep, and that's one thing with youth build as far as the presidency, where I kind of play this role, bringing the people that went through the program so they can have a better understanding. But the difference between the lab and the field, those people that are in the lab, working behind the scenes, and myself being in the field. So thank you for bringing that to the light. Are there any other appreciations? Yes, Brother Concord.
I want to follow up on that. I think the alumni is important because if they see people that they just went to school with, or that they're close to, and if they see the change that they made, then it becomes more personal to them. Also, the sustaining it, because that's important. There have been a lot of meetings, a lot of different rallies, a lot of things that started and wasn't sustained. And that's going to be the difference. If we can sustain this program, that can make the difference.
On Heartbeat.
I was a little concerned about the line you used about the red tape that might prevent organizations like our brothers keeper from coming in or volunteers from coming in. What did you mean by that?
Oftentimes, the burden of the clearances falls on the volunteer. They want to go in and they have to spend, I don't know, it's $40, $50, $60 to get all those clearances
That has changed.
Oh.
The governor has eliminated that, and if you are a volunteer, it is free.
Oh, okay.
Heartbeat. Thank you. Thank you, Doc. Look, clear that up real quick. We still waiting for 4 and 5. We still waiting for 4 and 5. We still waiting. Thank you, Doc. So let's volunteer, people. My young boy, my brother. Yes, my brother. Get him. Get him. Get him.
Let's go.
People! Go ahead, Jay.
Oh, we definitely need this. Gotcha, all right.
Mike, go ahead, bro. All 3 of y'all.
What are the issues? This is how we're group 4. What are the issues, gaps in our community to young men, children of color? Those of our goals listed. One of our goals were to complete in post-secondary education or training. Some of the things that we identified, what to do was basically what to do next. You know, when you're in school, you hit, the 11th, you hit that time frame, you're trying to prepare yourself for post-secondary education, whether it's college, whether they call it vocational, is what do you want to do next? A lot of times we're so busy, in the inner city, the community, that we're trying to survive. You may not take the time to really develop yourself and take the time to really realize what your talents are, what you want to do next. It's pretty much every day I just want to graduate, I just want to pass, I want to go to the next class, I want to get an A, I want to get a B. You don't really sit down and take the time to focus on what it is you want to do next. So that's one of the things that we really collectively thought that is important to start as early as possible. To start identifying your talents, your experiences, what you want to do. Also financially, there's a cost involved. What can you do to eliminate that cost? What can you do to bring that cost down? What can you do to eliminate costs, period? What are some different resources out there, trying to identify different programs that can help you with that. Also, getting kids to value life and education. You may just see at the end of the day, just graduate. That's all I want to do. I want to be the first one in my family to graduate, the first one in my neighborhood to graduate, but there's life after that. There's value to graduating, there's value to moving on, there's value to continue your education. Also, what you mentioned about that is just the misconceptions of what's important growing up. What that can do, what you can do with different programs you can have, what kind of careers you can have, what different options you can have once you graduate, once you go to college, once you get that secondary, can you start being an electrician, can you start your own company, so things of that nature. Also, identifying, like I mentioned before, identifying youth interests. And I think that's done as a whole within the community. We all play a part in that you see a young man, young woman, anyone in the community that has interests, that has special talents, let them know that. Encourage them, give them that confidence, give them that, co-sign that. What we got going on back here? How to connect the resources to the children. That was one of the things we mentioned that was a really big one, because honestly, the resources are there. The resources are there, it's just a matter of getting it out there. Whether it's social media, we're on our phones, there's probably 5 people on their phones right now, we're on our phones. Get the resources out there. It may not be, we mentioned, it's not just to typically put the flyer down and take it to the poll and days over. Let's really move on to the next millennium, I guess you could say. But it's really getting them information out there. The resources are there. We've identified, Mike identified what, half a dozen resources already within the community. It's just getting it out there. So don't reinvent the wheel is one of the things we mentioned time and time again with our community. Within our community, it's not reinventing the wheel, but getting it out there. The people that's already doing it, the people that already have the expertise, the people that already have the resources. So you don't need to start that all over again. We wasting time just giving somebody to handle it and let them distribute it and take it to the next level. There it is. Anything I missed? We have a lot going on. I'm trying to really hit some points. Did I miss anything? Are we good? Let's go.
My heartbeat. Two appreciations. Thank you, Pastor, thank you, Queen, and thank you, Morty.
Well, one thing that you said was not reinventing the wheel. In a lot of communities, a lot of programs, instead of us getting with somebody who's doing it and supporting it and implementing what we want to do with that program that already exists, we start over.
Right, exactly.
And there's a continuous thing of reinvent, it's wasted time, starting from the ground up. A lot of times we just have to just get with somebody who's already doing it, who's already went through the hard time with it and partner up with them.
My heartbeat.
I like the idea that you said. There's a lot of organizations in this room. There's a couple I never even heard about. We have an organization. You guys probably never heard about us, etc. But it's about we have to use social media to promote each other's organization. I say right here, we can make a challenge to each other. Like every day we go on Facebook, let's share somebody else's organization. Let's get the word out there. Let's use social media. Let's help each other.
Well, Harvey.
Reinvent the Wheel, yes, I have these here, and this is also on our website, yorkcity.org. It has 9 pages, front and back, of some of our programs that we have for youth here in the city of York. If you don't program, I don't know about it, we do complete this twice a year. Just let me know, everyone knows how to find me, let me know through social media or email me, but I do have some of these here today. Like I said, it's on our website at yorkcity.org. You can go free, you can print it off and use it for what you want to, and I would say 85% of the programs in here are free to our youth in the city.
Heartbeat. Thank you, group number 4. 4, we want some more. Before 5 comes, before 5 comes, I know the man that was presenting had to leave, so just give him a little bit. And the respect of not reinventing the wheel. Gentlemen, there's a calendar here that goes from August 2015 to August 2016. Every 3 months, we're gonna hold ourselves accountable to meet up. Right? I'm gonna kind of give you all the dates so we can plug them in, so we can hold each other accountable. I like that challenge that you said. We're actually gonna create a Google Calendar. This is one of the tools that I use traveling. So anybody can have Gmail, can have access to download a file, to grab it as a resource, and then a calendar event, it'll pop up. That's how I'm blessed to kind of travel, but at the same time, stay home and take care of home, because I'm an active father. Where's my wife? And you can call me on it. I love it. And my son is right here. I love it when he has something at his school. He might not have wanted to go, but now let's do it. You see what I'm saying? Graduated, top of the class, it's nothing but love. Everything counts, everything works. So I just want to make sure, moving forward together, we can kind of make sure we communicate this next year. Last but not least, group number 5. Let's do it. Let's do it.
How's it going, y'all? We're group number 5, and our goal is successfully entering the workforce. A few of the things we came up with, involvement in SHOP. I mean, with programs like this and everything else, I mean, everybody's kind of said the same thing, and what I'm realizing is everybody's kind of come into the same problems and issues that we're running into, communication and everything else being I think the main issue. How do we get out to the community that this kind of thing is taking place? You know, you can send as many Facebook invites as you want, but if you're like me, I get 500 invites a day to events and stuff. So how do you get more in people's faces and bring up exactly how imperative this kind of stuff really is to our, to our younger generation and everything. So, but getting involved and sustaining this kind of environment is huge. What we got here? So, organizing and informing the community of local efforts. I'm really sorry for my handwriting. Organizing more workshops. I know you said you don't want to keep reinventing the wheel, but I mean, we also have to understand how many people are in the city. And can this whole city fit into what existing programs that are already there, or do they have access to that? Let's see. Role models is one of the other issues. I mean, we have to identify what existing role model programs are. I know you got the list over there. I wasn't aware of that and everything else, but getting that information all in one place together and making that accessible to the community is going to be huge too in the effort to move things forward. And just taking it upon yourselves, not just at these events and these things, to go out go out in your own neighborhoods and talk to people. Like, what are you doing to be a positive influence on the kids around you and everything else? Because when I walk around neighborhoods, man, it's crazy. The things that I see, the things that people are teaching kids and everything else, like, this stuff can't stop in schools and these programs and whatnot. It has to carry on home. So, communication, the biggest problem that ever existed in any situation. You know what I mean? How are we going to get this information out to people more effectively? how are people going to receive this information more effectively? I think communicating with parents, talking to them about what, how is it that you're going to get, or how are you going to encourage a positive work ethic in your child? How are you going to teach them, what the workforce is about? It's one thing I see all the time. I work with a bunch of union members who don't want to do anything. They think they're entitled to come to work and do nothing. Sorry, but that's unacceptable. We need to teach these kids that when you do something and you work for your living and you earn everything else, there's nothing more rewarding in the world than that. You know what I mean? So encouraging these kids to do that, I think, is really important. Career jobs and coaches. I think another big thing is getting out to the local businesses and things like that to see, what opportunities are you really offering these kids? Because some of these kids are, they don't, by the time they become an adult, they already have felonies. They already have this, they already have this. So what opportunity do they have to actually get a job where they're going to be able to financially support themselves, their families and everything else, and not have to turn back to, negative options, basically. Create more programs and activities to reinforce positive work ethics. It's kind of touching on what I just said. I think another thing too, I've been a hiring manager in a couple different positions I have. I've seen the most ridiculous resumes in my life. People don't know how to interview, people don't know how to do this. There needs to be more programs that enforce these types of things and teach these types of things to really prepare people and youth to, step into a work environment. So, anything else we got here?
One heartbeat.
I think that's about it. Anything else?
One heartbeat. True appreciation. Thank you, Rob. Yes, sir. Chris and Dr. Holmes.
I like the fact, that you guys did touch a little bit on about more programs on how to interview, because I'm 34 myself. I'm still getting the jitters of going into an interview like it's my first time interviewing. But there should be some more age-appropriate classes, so to speak, like, have somebody their age that's already in the workforce or close enough to that age bracket, say like 18 to 25, get them in there and interact with them more on, okay, don't say yeah, or you're supposed to say yes, or, the appropriate way to approach a job, a prospective job, even if it is, say, McDonald's or Burger King or something like that, you still go approach it as if you're applying for a position at the White House.
One heartbeat. Yes, sir. Scott?
I really appreciate everything that you guys talked about. What we're doing at York High is transforming it over the next 2 to 3 years into career academies. So that when a student goes to ninth grade, they're in a ninth grade academy, but then there's going to be 4 or 5 different career paths that a child can choose. And the courses that they take will be related to that. So when they graduate, they will have a direction to go into. So it just won't be a general diploma. It will guide them towards maybe the health field or maybe towards the business field. Courses they take will be related to that. They will have courses in how to interview, how to write a resume, and the key, because we all learn through watching what other people do, is internships in those areas so that people can go to those jobs and see what people do in the world of work.
One heartbeat. Yeah, one more. Go ahead.
Yeah, I also, you approached on that one where, like he said, there are people out there right now who have felonies. And there need to be more programs out there to reach those people and show them how they can get back into the workforce and that it's not over for them, because a lot of companies won't hire if you've got a felony. The chance, they don't want to take a chance on you because they're scared. And so that hurts that person too. And that person wants to come out and rehabilitate himself, but yet he wants that hope to know that I can get a job and I can feed my family, and not be scared. So, I thought that was real good.
One heartbeat. Anything else? Thank you for the fun. Okay, Jen.
No, this is I really, everybody mentioned it was getting out into the streets where a lot of these issues develop And a lot of mentalities or culture is on the streets, and it's really good to be professionals. Really, that's an excellent way to provide for your family, to get the office, and get the work done. But at the end of the day, you really have to get out the streets. You need to be about to go on 7:30 in the morning. You gotta get out there. You gotta get on the concrete. You gotta get the concrete up. I love being in the trenches, and that's where it starts at. That's where it cultivates at. Iron sharpens iron. You gotta get out there,
On Harvard, right? So piece this, because that was a perfect, Jamil, I see your hand. That was a perfect transition. Just talking to Chapman on the block. Thank you, Group 5. I appreciate it. Give him some love, y'all. Brother Jamil, I see your hand. I see you, Brother Nate, but I actually want to kick it to Chat and Brother Fitch, because I was talking to Chat just in the block, just walking down the street. Chat pulled over and he was putting the bug in my ear, and I wanted you to kind of bring it to the group, if you don't mind. As far, I think it's the same thing he was talking about as far as us on the first day of school or something.
Actually, Dr. Holmes and Brother Fitch can touch on that.
Dr. Holmes, Brother Fitch?
George?
All right, well. wait, I mean, first of all, this is fantastic. Give it up for everyone in this room. All right? One of the major things that we saw and that you continue to see is that we have to support one another. And so what we're doing on the first day of school, from 7:45 till 9:45, but at 7:30, we would like all the men here to come out and just greet students as they're coming up. We have Dr. Holmes talked about the Freshman Academy. So we're being very purposeful in that we're having the entire school for 2 hours open up just for freshmen. So when the freshmen come in, it will be a magical sight to see men, women, professional community members encouraging them to come to school. But not just encouraging them to come to school on time, prepared. Your first day, we're going to kick it out. We want people outside on College Avenue, Pershing, have you inside the building so that when you come in, give them a pound, give them a fist bump. We're, of course, orange and blue. That's what you do, orange and blue. All right, because you're Bearcats. You might start off in your K-8s, but when you leave York High, you're always a Bearcat. Mm-hmm. So that pride comes through. Because you're talking about changing the mindset, changing how we think, changing how we look, changing how we walk, and creating pride. So the Freshmen's Academy, that's where we really need everyone to come out and support our youth, come out and support them. This Monday at 7:30, you can come out at 7:30 because we want you there a little early so that we'll have some donuts there, some coffee for you. We'll hook you up. Okay. But we want you there, more importantly though, to show that positive impact to our students.
One heartbeat. Monday, 7:30. All right, so we're going to keep it riding and re-rolling. Yes, ma'am.
Real quick, how many Bearcats I got in the room right now? Stand up. Shared about the mentorship and the opportunity for them to see those of us who are Bearcats and who are successful in the community. If you can make it, please make it. Please be there so they can know we're your orange and blue to show your support and show we're here. We're still here and we're still making a difference in the community.
Thank you. Right? So I want to get these two comments and I want to start transitioning as far as that support. It's a couple other announcements and I promise y'all we're going to be out here before 2 o'clock. Brother Jamil and Brother Nate, and we're going to ride and we roll. Yes. Your hand was first.
I just wanted to say, what's his name from York High?
Dr. Holmes.
Dr. Holmes. I like what he was saying about internship with these kids. And I would definitely, that's something I want to help develop and work with you and the kids on that. Because I want them to see, and I know there's a lot of us, and they need to hear some of these stories in the community. Like me and my partner, we have 2 stores next door to each other. And we making this happen off a regular job. And some weeks, like after paying our house bills, we may only be able to get a can of paint, the lights this week, we can't get nothing this week. And I would like to walk through with some of the kids and let them see this. Because sometimes people think when starting a business, you just need this huge financial nest egg, but that's not always the case. Come on. If you can show them that you can take baby steps, if entrepreneurship is something that you want to do. So I would love to work with you and help you see some of these stories. My partner been a bargain hunter, you know what I mean? I had to make that transition because when I was in the streets as an entrepreneur, I was used to just blowing money. And now doing this the right way, I was like stuck. And he was showing me, man, I get stuff from yard sale. We bought some nice track lights he got from a yard sale that look excellent.
Come on, somebody.
But the kids need to hear these kind of stories and get them that encouragement and that hope.
One heartbeat.
I look forward to
Mother Nate.
I feel like you said, we don't want to recreate the wheel. There's lots of resources out here, but I still feel like there needs to be a program that, whether it's called Brothers Keeper or whatever you want to call it, with this group of men that's here today, we need to create something. Like in the movie, they had the kids with the ties, and they all came, whether they come from whatever resource out there. I still feel like we need to create an organization or a group that brings all of this together. And Monday we're at Sal, Tuesday we're with Dr. Holmes, Wednesday we're here. But eventually we all bring everybody to one location and do what we're doing.
One heartbeat. So I got my Sammy Davis on real quick because I felt it. Like I don't shout in church, but I understand when you get emotional, you just want to just dance. So peep game, right? So what you're saying is what this is right now. Every 3 months, what you're saying, like we're going to support each other as far as the resources, but I need y'all to get out your pen and your papers because every 3 months we're going to meet. I got the dates for you right now. November 21st, third Saturday in November, we're going to come back together. November 21st, thank you, Mayor Ward. The lovely Mrs. Morales. November 21st, same time, 10 to 2. Okay. Right? And then February the 20th, the same time, 10 to 2. So every 3 months we'll meet. So you got November 21st, 2015, and then you have February 20th, 2016. Every 3 months we're gonna move quarterly. We're gonna make sure we hold ourselves accountable, but at the same time, it's gonna be up to us to support each other and facilitate what's going on. As soon as Dr. Dwayne mentioned that, I asked the missus to put it there. Any date that you can think of right now, you need to be putting it there before we leave. So when we create this Google Calendar, okay. The prime example, I hate to kind of keep bringing Scott up there. Let's take for instance, he started to train a boot. This year I couldn't come, January. I personally want to say thank you. Hey, please, look, I want to say we rapping. All right. Arm, band of brothers, arm to arm. Arm to arm. Arm to arm. Band of brothers, band of sisters. We're taking our city back, gentlemen. We're taking our city back. I'm blessed because I feel like everything we're about to do now, we're about to show the other cities how to do it right. Because I'm blessed to be behind closed doors, some of the frustration that goes on, but at the same time, through every frustration that they've been through, it's going to make us better. Tap into me as a resource, but go directly to the source, mbkalliance.org. We have each other. So I want to go around one last time, your name and one word, how you feeling right now. My name is Jamil and I'm inspired.
My name is George Fitch and I'm enthusiastic.
Mike Smith, empowered. Dominic Chapman, ready. Jamar Lopez, motivated.
Arnold Alexander, grateful.
Jeff Beard, encouraged.
Nate Knight and ready.
Rob Grant, proud.
Every week, encouraged.
Aaron Williams, blessed.
Mike Smith, passion.
James Johnson, blessed.
Wayne Scott, York.
Tomorrow Morales, better.
Michael Dallin, encouraged.
Tino Conquest, determined.
Janelle Hill, focus.
Innovative, ready.
Jason Phillips, passion.
Dwayne Wright, blessed.
Ken Curtis, determined.
The Richard Miller.
Focus. Tino inspired.
Kenny Bethea, excited.
Hector Morales, blessed. Chloe's power.
Clovis Gallon, honored. Ron Martin, encouraged.
Phil Peters, let's do it.
Shabasi Buffalo, ready.
Paul Tone, ready to go.
Aquina Washington, empowered.
Chris Roberts, empowered.
Martinez Jackson, blessed.
Eric Holmes, psyched.
Mike Baskerville, intrigued by you all.
Woody Harrison, elated.
Ms. Morales, ready.
Have a good day, gentlemen. One heartbeat. Don't forget to put